Good morning everyone. It's fantastic to be up here at Fayland in the sunshine for our first outdoor broadcast. We're going to hear to talk a bit about sport, and of course at a time like this we're all missing our sport enormously, with none of the cricket or athletics or tennis that normally is going on behind me. It's actually quite ironic, isn't it, as well? The pitches are looking absolutely fabulous due to the incredible weather we've been having. So we're going to hear from Mr. Jocelyn and Hector and Izzy, and they're going to talk about their love of sport and what it means to them, and particularly of course in the current context of the crisis that we are in. Also of course right behind me, we would normally at this time of year have had the large marquee up sports day for next weekend, so another event we're very sadly missing this year. But first I was going to say a few words. I was going to speak about my love of sport and what it means to me, but actually following the events of last week, and particularly of course the events in Bristol yesterday, I've rather changed my focus slightly. I read a fantastic article by the journalist Matthew Said over the weekend, and he manages to combine the topic of sport and racism very eloquently. He wrote that one of the first debates he was ever involved in was entitled "Why Are Black People Superior Distance Runners?" Now, being Matthew Said, this troubled him a little bit, and he challenged it, and as he researched it further, it became very clear that, as he expected, this was a completely flawed argument. Black people from the Caribbean have never come near to winning any Olympic standard long distance race. And it's the same for many other black communities. Take the Maasai or the Mambuti in Africa. So the organiser of the debate changed the title. They changed it to "Why Are Kenyans Superior Distance Runners?" Obviously because that country had enjoyed enormous Olympic success in long distance running. But this too was very problematic. There were no champions from Nairobi, and indeed very few champions from most of Kenya. The running success was very much focused in a very, very small part of Kenya in the Rift Valley called the Nandi. So far from black people being superior distance runners, or even Kenyans, the Olympic success was focused in just a tiny, tiny pinprick of Africa. Said goes on to say that the relevance of this is the way that this demonstrates a tendency of the brain to stereotype. Subconsciously, we put people with dark skin into a category labelled black, and then assume that any trait shared by some, even if it's a tiny minority, such as being an amazing long distance runner, we tend to stereotype and think that that characteristic is shared by everyone in that category. Said felt that an understanding of this human tendency to stereotype is crucial if we try and understand racial inequality. So although the murder of George Floyd and all the other instances of brutality hit the headlines, it's much, much more subtle factors that really shape racial division. US employers are 50% more likely to reject candidates with black sounding names due to the stereotype that they're poorly educated. In the UK, we're not much better. The Department of Work and Pensions found a high level of name-based discrimination. In schools, young black people are twice as likely to be suspended. Again, we stereotype often that black teenagers are more likely to be poorly behaved or involved in crime. And there's many, many other examples of disadvantages that black people face every day in their lives. Now, the vast majority of the perpetrators of these prejudices and this stereotyping are not racist in any of the conventional sense. They don't walk around doing Nazi salutes, and they don't wear pointy hats. And indeed many of them would see themselves very much as middle-class liberals. And in fact many of them are from ethnic minorities themselves. But they're unaware of their own biases. And it's the cumulative effect of these everyday injustices which causes the greatest difficulty for the black community. So we can attempt to de-bias society by blinding CVs and removing certain demographic information from applications, for example. But one really positive thing that must come from this period is a much more nuanced debate about social justice and the need to focus on the importance of judging individuals on their character or their skills, like being able to run really fast, rather than just focusing on their skin colour. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Jocelyn. He's going to talk a bit more about sport and what it means to him.
Good morning. Thank you, Headmaster. Well, welcome to Fayland. It's beautiful here today. Sorry that you can't be here with us. When you will all be back at Failed, we're not quite sure. September's a long way away. It's looking like rugby, football, netball, hockey. We're just not quite sure at the moment. When we do know, obviously we would let you know. But at this stage, we just can't say. Next Saturday, as we already said, would have been Sports Day. I'm standing, older parents and pupils will remember where the marquee used to be, just here. We will, in new days, have the marquee down the bottom. Obviously, I've been, we've missed it 2 years in a row now because the building worked last year, but fingers crossed we'll be back again next year. We've never cancelled due to the weather, but obviously some parents with older siblings remember carrying in the marquee from hailstones and everything else over the years, and we've always managed to get something out, but thankfully we've always managed to get through the day. This would have been Mr. Perkins' 52nd Sports Day as a member of staff, which is pretty good going. He's given up the running round these days, but pretty good effort. I can remember 20 plus years ago when the track was just here, and a boy called Josh Kay broke the 100-metre record, ran 10.95 running in his socks, and the back straight was just down where the tennis courts are now, which was pretty impressive. More recently, I can remember Callum Roberts ran the back straight. Those who remember would just be just where the edge of the 3G is here. Callum Roberts equalled that 100-metre record, wind assisted must be said, but that was very impressive. Year 12 students will remember 3 years ago Mark Thuo, who would have been year 12, who year 10 at the time, broke the 100 and the 200 record on the same day here, which was fantastic for everyone to watch. And last year, despite the fact we did Sports Day on separate games days, we had Rufus Thomas breaking a very long-standing 1500 metre record for the intermediates, which was amazing. And the other great memory last year was our first co-ed Sports Day. First day, senior together, boys and girls in sixth form, which was fantastic, and long that may continue. But why do we do sport anyway? Is it just about these, the medals? Is that the reason we take part in sport? Professional football returns in a couple of weeks' time in empty stadiums. The reasons for starting it, that it's good for the morale of the country. It could be argued it's more to do with money and TV revenue. Ultimately, professional sport is about winning. Often jobs depend on it. A-level students will know of the Lombardian ethic, named after Vince Lombardi, a famous American football coach. One of his famous sayings was, "Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing." Hence the win at all costs attitude. Yes, it's nice to win, and as coaches at QEH, that's one of our aims. But also teamwork, hard work, resilience, and fun are important aspects of sport. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win and being disappointed when you lose. But remember, the manner of victory and defeat is important. Sometimes we learn more from defeat than we do from victory. At Wimbledon, as players leave the centre court, there's a plaque by the tunnel, and on it are the words of a famous poem from Rudyard Kipling. "If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same." Your performance goals need to go to do your very best, separate from the outcome of the contest. Too many parents, coaches and players don't understand this. They mistakenly believe that winning and not losing is the true goal. Remember, winning and losing are really imposters, and you do want to treat both of them just the same. You will receive information this week about hopefully our virtual sports day, which we're hoping to do next weekend. It'll be in the newsletter on Friday as well. Please take part with your family. Have some fun. Send in some photos. If you send in a photo, you'll get a house point. But above all, enjoy your sport. I now hand over to Izzy and Hector.
Hi, I'm Izzy, and sport has been such a big part of my 2 years at QEH. I've loved all the teams I've been involved in, and I've got some great memories. I know that you'll all be missing the sport that you would have been doing in this summer term, and it's such a shame to think that it would have been Sports Day coming up, as this is always such a great event. However, it's important now, more than ever, to keep active and fit, so I'd really recommend going out on a bike ride or a run. This will really improve your mental health. For me, going out for a run in the morning boosts my mood for the whole day. Sport is great for teamwork and it's also great for interacting with others. It's really social and it's a great way to meet loads of new people. If you're planning on going to uni after you leave school, then joining a sports team would be a great way to make loads of new friends. QEH has loads of great sporting opportunities and I really recommend to get involved in as much as you can before you leave school. It will set you up for later in life and mean that you'll be more confident to join sports teams in the future. I hope that you're all staying safe and that we'll be back up at Phelan soon.
Good morning everyone. I'm Hector and I was meant to be your first team cricket captain this year. I'd like to start by saying that I hope you and your families are all staying occupied and staying safe at the moment. In these unprecedented times, it would have been very unlikely that any school sport would have been played this summer term, and it's looking unlikely that it will return until the autumn term. Having been at the school for 11 years now, I've played a lot of school sport and school cricket in my time, and it's a real shame that this is how it's coming to an end. The summer term is always packed to the brim of cricket, with all ages travelling anywhere from Gloucester to Bath to play fixtures in the beaming summer sun. It's also unfortunate that this likely would have been one of the first seasons in which few games were cancelled due to bad weather, but what can we do? Cricket at QEH is often swept under the radar a bit, but I know for a fact that there's some great talent at this school, and I'm sure that all ages will thrive in the future. With the revamp up at Phelan, the home pitch for our first team was moved slightly, hopefully to try and better our record. We also had some new nets made, which I've been up to use in recent weeks, but are due some proper usage, which I'm sure they'll get in the coming weeks as soon as some students return to school and are able to enjoy the facilities that we're so lucky to have. So, it's a real shame, but it's looking like no competitive cricket or any school sport will be played for the time being. But obviously what's important is the safety of you and the population. Please stay safe, and I hope the rest of term goes well for all of you and you can be back enjoying the incredible facilities as soon as it's safe to do so.